Having some difficulty here. Hold up. Maybe like open it a little bit. Guess I can't do that. I'm new to Twitch, so you'll have to forgive me. Hey, everyone can see me now. Folks, it's been a hell of a year. I gotta tell you, this year has simply got to be an improvement on the last one. Can't really see me, can you? Trying to figure out what the best way to put this one is. Hello. So as you can see here, this is the one that I'll probably never make look pretty, because this is one that I made while I was on the streets before I went to rehab. I made it entirely in one day out of the things I found around me. So there's just like property divider, just like random hardware, one string that I bartered off of like some traveling kid that I ran into outside of a coffee shop. It's a little door stopper that gives a little resonance. The body is a thing that says War and Peace on it. It looks like a book, but it's just like a little empty case. So I thought that was kind of neat. And the strap is just a tie that I found. And I was just so ecstatic when it sounded the way that it did, because I was like, one string, I'll try to figure out how that song from SpongeBob goes whenever something exciting is happening with it. So that's how that one sounds. the one I made while deep, deep in drug addiction on the street before rehab, before my, right after my house burned down. And I'll never fix it. I could make it look pretty. I could make it more functional. I could do things to it, but it reminds me of how much better things are now. Not that things are great. So moving on. I really only have 3 to show you guys today because there's all the other ones I sold. There's this one, and then this is what's left over from. I got a bunch of cookie tins that were Christmas themed, and I tried to make them all into little functional instruments, and all of them sold except for the one that I think was the coolest. I thought this one was neat because it's like a little stocking stuffer. It's 1 string, little Santa Claus cookie tin. And it's a piece of extruded aluminum here for the neck that I spray painted to look like candy canes. So yeah, that one's cool. Also, I'm experimenting with using different kinds of hardware to tune these things with, but guitar tuners are still incredibly great at what they do and pretty much irreplaceable. Also, this one has this little bit right here that makes it so you can just kind of set it flat on your lap and play it if you want. Legendary. Thank you very much. I'm pretty pleased with how this one turned out. So it surprised me that no one bought this one because I sold all the other ones and I made like 6 or 7 of them. And if you want to look at my YouTube channel, you'll see a bunch of the old builds that are now gone. But this is the main passion project right now. Is this one? This is the one that I'm most excited about completing. So I'm letting some of the paint dry. It's the pink is nail polish. And this one is a 3-string. Is a slide. I think I'm gonna put frets on it today also. And so for the headstock, what I did is I just kind of like cut this. So this is the leg to a table that I found, and I cut it at this angle, and then I just flipped the little part over and glued and screwed it in place, sanded it down, painted over it. So now it has like, it leans back like a headstock's supposed to. The body is a cigar box that a friend of mine that works at a smoke shop gave to me. Just some random springs that I found out of the trash. This is part of a tile. It's the hinge to a jewelry box that holds the strings. What else? Oh yeah, the fretboard is just a property divider. They would stick it in the ground with a little pink ribbon on it. Tells people where the property ends, but you know. That's that. Nail polish for paint. So I'm gonna start working on this one right now, I think, because I gotta do some sawing and some painting. And put the strings back on it. I had it going earlier, but I wanted to do some more work with the painting and do the fret lines, which is gonna be kind of finicky. And had it out today when I went to I do stand up, so I went to do a show and I brought this with me and just kind of was flaunting it. People have kind of watched, people who do stand up in the same city as me have kind of just watched me develop this thing I'm doing and get better and better at it. So that's cool. Some of them bought it. Hello. So right now I'm just gonna kind of retouch up some of this pink first. And And I also put nail hardener over it to just kind of solidify it. And this angle right here is not doing me any favors. What am I going to do about this? Wish it was something I could pull off right now. Hold up, I'm just fixing a camera thing real quick, folks. Bear with me, bro. Maybe I just need another angle on this guy. I don't know. Can you? Another angle altogether, maybe. It'd just be nice if y'all could see what I was doing down here. I guess I could just hold it up and do it. Whatever. So it's nail polish, pink. I like the finish on it. I like the way it comes out. So I'll probably do a lot more stuff with just nail polish in the future. And the pink is really cool. It reminds me of Vice City. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I played that game so much when it came out. That's got to be the best Grand Theft Auto, right? That's the one that's like got the best environments. It's just like, man, it takes me back to beating hookers to death as a teenager. Also, the music was awesome. There we go. One's good. This one looks alright. A little bit more on that one over here. I can hear owls hooting. It's very cold here in Tucson right now and very windy. And I'm grateful to not be out in the street because there are a lot of people who are, and I have been, and it is brutal in Tucson when it's cold out. People think of the desert, it's just like entirely a hot place or like a dead place, but it's full of life, and when it's cold here, it is very cold. People freeze to death in the desert pretty routinely. It pretty much works at all ends. The general rule of thumb is in the desert, everything's trying to kill you. So if you ever come to visit, keep that in mind and try not to stay too long because you might get stuck, just as we all do or have. I had never intended to move to Tucson when I came for a brief visit, and here I am. And each time I leave, I come back. And the last time I came back, I actually kind of started to enjoy things about Tucson. There are things about Tucson that are worthwhile, but they're not the kinds of things that most people would think of as positives. You know, like it's a pretty sketchy town. I mean, I'm building a musical instrument out of things I pulled out of the dumpster. I'm a representative for my community in this very moment. And so that pink looks pretty good right now. So what I'm going to do next is start sawing some of these lines so that I can put frets in it. And much like me and the guitars, my tool set is 100% trash. It's all things that I pulled out of the trash. So you're gonna get to watch me kind of have to figure some things out as I go along. My saw is a pretty big hand saw, and it's not usually what you want to use for something like this, but we're gonna make it work. All right. So we're going to let some of that paint dry while I do it. And I've already put markers on here in pink along the neck where I'm going to want to put my frets. So this one right here is the exact middle point between the nut and the bridge, which is where the harmonic is. It's a good place to start. Come on. Here we go. So this is what I'm going to be using for that. Well, gotta work with what you got, right? I could probably use a ruler to make it straighter, but I'm not going to. Because I'm straight enough. Just kidding, big fag. And if you're bothered by the fact that I curse on my stream or that I smoke on my stream, you should seriously consider getting a better threshold for things that bother you. You can't catch secondhand smoke over a stream, for example. So we sawed a little line here. I'm gonna have to take these frets out of, this is a guitar that I found in a dumpster. And it was missing the headstock and the little whatever that goes all the way down here to hold it in place. But I grabbed it because it has good frets and I want to use them. So I have to take them off. This can sometimes be a little bit of a pain in the ass. I've cut myself pretty bad doing it before. So I'm just taking this box cutter and kind of peeling it up. I once made a guitar that all the frets were just bicycle spokes that I clipped down, sanded, and put in place with glue and paint, honestly. And it worked great. That was probably the best one I've ever built. And it was one of the first ones, but it's no longer with me for a number of reasons. But I won't bore you with the details. Let's just say I am no longer on the street and I have attended rehab. Come on, get up there. So I like doing this because all the materials are things that were headed to a landfill somewhere. And then I went and rescued them and turned them into something that is a functional musical instrument that can make art now. It's always a one-of-a-kind playable instrument. And it's made entirely out of upcycled materials. And it does my very favorite thing, which is helping me continue not having a boss. Because that is something that I've learned about myself I am not capable of. It's not that I'm lazy, it's not that I don't want to work. I like working, I like doing things, but being told what to do is not something that has ever worked out for me. You know how you get older and you know there's some things you can improve on, and then there's other things that you just have to like. I guess this is you play to your strengths. You know. I need a different tool for this. Just a second, folks. Gotta pull this motherfucker out of here. Ow! Ah! Yeah, you take some hits. Whoops. That was pretty loud. And if you're in the room here, please feel free to say literally anything. Try to prompt me to say things. I'm just getting used to this being in a stream with no one talking and trying to fill the dead air. So just throw out a subject and I'll do my very best. I'm pretty wacky, so just keep that in mind. I'm a little wascally, is what's been said about me. Worse things have been said about me, certainly, but that's the one that I am the least inclined to deny outright. Wascally would be a nice way of putting it, really. So anybody, any subject whatsoever, come on, throw me a topic. I see you in there, folks. Say something to me. Give me something to work with. Throw me a bone here. And I will do my best. You guys, if you're just enjoying watching me sort of flounder, that's also acceptable. Like, you know, if that's what is keeping you in the feed, then by golly, just watch me flounder. But just know we might arrive at some pretty odd subject matter. So there we go. I got a fret out. That's a fret. Got that out of this guitar, which I found in a dumpster, missing the headstock. Now, I'm gonna have to cut this to size. And glue it in. Still need a little bit more of an impression from this saw. So we're gonna do that real quick. We could use a little bit deeper. Almost there. Yes. So that should be pretty much deep enough for the fret to get in there. See? But we gotta cut it to be the right size for the neck because it's a little wide. So we'll do that right now. Almost. That'll do. Now we're gonna glue it in. We got some Gorilla Glue right here. Gotta fill in this gap a little bit. So that'll be the first one. And I'll have to paint over some of this glue at some point, obviously. But we have begun the process of fretting. And this is always kind of arduous. And there will be more frets than just these little pink dots. I'm gonna go over that with you guys when we get to it. But these were the important notes to me, and this one in particular that I started with because that's the harmonic. It's the direct middle point between the bridge and the nut. This is 17 millimeters, something 17 inches. Yeah, something. Yeah, 17 inches, and I forget the exact amount. I did measure it though, and I'm fretting it properly, or as properly as one can with the tools that I have, anyways. Where's the saw? Yep. On to the next one. I'm gonna bust off another one of these. I'm gonna set this aside while I work on that. And we have another fret from the garbage guitar. That should be, yeah, it's deep enough. So we now have two frets drying. It's a weird thing to do. And we need another fret. So we'll set this aside. Pop another one off the garbage guitar. I wish my Twitch stream could better see what I'm working on, but I can't figure out a good angle because I'm working with a tablet for my Twitch stream right over here. And the only thing I have to stand it on, I kind of built. I guess I could move it, but I'm already kind of in the middle of this. And once these frets are in place, I might actually get a really terrible fret. Hey, good morning. It was good. It was at a smoke shop in the middle of the night, so that was a little odd. But there was a crowd there, which is unusual for Tucson. But I suppose if you go where the drug paraphernalia is, you'll find an audience in this town. So there we go. We got the first 3 frets in, and I may have to readjust them to avoid the fret buzz, like I was saying before. But what that will consist of is a file. I'll basically be sanding it. I'm once again setting down my little Vice City guitar for a moment so that I can pull some more frets. I think I'm going to pull all the frets off at once right now, so I can just get it over with and let that thing sit and dry for a second. So now I'm going to be pulling the frets off of this garbage guitar that I found in a dumpster behind a church. It didn't have the headstock or the little rod that goes down there, so it's pretty much no good for anything but parts, but the frets are useful to me, so I'm taking them off and cutting them to size. It's a shame because, you know, it's like it was something must have happened that this person felt they needed to throw this guitar away, but the truth is that I've fixed things in worse condition than that. Here's a guitar that someone gave to me at the food bank because they knew I did stuff like this, and it had this part of the headstock broken off. I don't know if you can see that too well, but I just used a bunch of JB Weld and super glue, and now this guitar is functional again. And this was a nice guitar. I haven't strung it up and played it really a lot because I'm always working on my other ones, but it's kind of cool, right? Just got a little fuck up around the top, but these things can be fixed. Please feel free to, because I'm new at this thing where I'm just talking to a camera alone in a shed by myself here, to throw out anything you want to talk about. Ask me questions, just give me a subject, and I will do my best. I love to run my mouth. Yeah, you're telling me. Something that I've learned from dumpster diving as much as I have is that the reality of the situation is that everything we own is just trash that didn't get thrown away yet. Every single thing that is a possession of yours that you think is of any importance is going in the trash. It's just a matter of when. And there's guys like me who, at the very last moment, divert it for a second. And I think that there's power in that. Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, all we, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, all we are is whatever fucking mess we leave behind. But, there was this, one of my favorite things that I ever owned that I found in a trash can. So they used to print photographs with tin, very, very old photographs. And I once found one of those, and it was a picture of a baby in a coffin. It was a dead baby at its own funeral. And I loved it so much. It was in a little pretty dress, and I just thought it was such a powerful thing to look at because it's probably the only picture of that person that was ever taken, and they were dead. and then somebody threw it away, and then I found it. And probably the only reason that that person even still exists, even as a memory, is because I went to that dumpster on that day and happened to find that. And I no longer have it. So as soon as the people who are hearing me say this in this stream right now and I are dead, that's when that person will officially be dead. And one day we're all going in the trash. And that's just the way it is. I wish I was able to have held on to that one. That's one of the, like, I've lost a lot of everything I own in my life, but it's things like that that really, like, man, that's like a sinking feeling that I don't have that anymore. I love that thing. I can only imagine the grief that the parents must have felt. And to think that that grief eventually came around to some superintendent of like an apartment building, maybe not even noticing they were doing it, but just discarding it. Like, this is nothing. And then I came along and gave it at least until this conversation for that person to live a little bit longer. And they maybe did before we die. We might both forget. I don't have the picture anymore. I don't know what became of it. I'm assuming it's in the trash somewhere, but you know, you never know. There's more guys like me out there than you think. But just remember, on bulk trash day, you gotta go sleep on the curb, because we're all going. I found some very odd things in the trash too. But it's never like the valuable things that I found that I have this like sinking feeling that I don't have them anymore. It's always things like that. Because literally everything that you've ever wanted is in a trash can somewhere. I can guarantee you that. I found things that were worth a great deal of money. And I'm not typically someone who believes in manifestation, but once I started building salvage guitars, I started finding guitar parts in the trash pretty regularly. At one point, when I was really interested in making electric scooters, I would find electric scooter parts in the trash pretty regularly. I've found that once you put it in your brain that you want to find something, you find it eventually. And I know that's anecdotal, and so it's not proof of anything, and I don't even necessarily believe there's anything to it, but it is pretty remarkable. This one's really giving me a hard time. Try with this flathead. Oh, and real quick, I suppose I can do this. It's plugged in anyways. I'll share with you who are in the room the thing I most recently found in a trash can. I found this on the way back from the show. Let me just turn it around and you should be able to see it. Can you see it? Not quite. There it is. Found that on the way back from the show last night. Crazy, right? So now we got another one. Now I have to cut that one down to size, obviously. We'll go back to the frets in a minute. Let's return to this guy. Vice City guitar. So now we're dealing with these frets here. Kind of puffing out from the heat. I put it right in front of my little heat lamp down there to speed up the process of the glue drying. And it started to kind of expand. So we're gonna have to clean that up a little bit. Stealing my ears. How you doing, Tommy? Lighter, hi. Okay. Now, let's do a couple more saw marks. God damn, this is fucking such a bad angle for the Twitch. You know what? I am gonna fix this angle real quick so that the Twitch stream can see what the fuck I'm doing. So the way that I have this tablet set up is I have one of these little guys and then this like rivet that I found, and it just kind of holds the tablet in place. But it's a little high up to see what I'm doing. I wasn't anticipating using the tablet for anything like this. I'm surprised it even has Twitch on it. I can't YouTube stream on it for whatever reason. It doesn't support that, but it does do Twitch. All right, is that better? Not really, is it? No. on a second, folks. I'm not sure that that's much of an improvement, man. Let's scoot forward a bit. That might be about as good as it's going to get for now. This is not much more than an experiment anyways with Twitch. So there we are. We've got 3 frets. And this is all going to be cleaned up and sanded and painted over when it's all said and done. We're just getting them in there right now. Okay. I should have cut them first. I find it fascinating that someone would watch this on their television, or at all, really. Particularly right now, this has got to be incredibly dull. But to wake up and have it on your television, not only dull but vaguely frightening. Can you be bored and mortified at the same time? Mortified. So now we have 5 frets in place. These are going to be cleaned up quite a bit, and I am not done putting in frets. I'm going to put in 3 more at least, maybe more than that. But there are 5 here now. You know what I think one of the problems is with over here is that this light kind of gives my eyes a little bit of a Is that an improvement? Yeah, it's something I kind of. It's one of the things that I think is probably interesting about watching the feed, but it is a pain in the ass that I kind of have to make whatever I have work. That is one I found in the saw I have is one I found in a dumpster next to a storage facility um, near where I live at. I check that one pretty regularly if I'm going by there. So we've got these 5 in place. That's a stopping point with this one. I'm going to let some of this dry because the glue definitely expands. And I'm going to have to adjust it as we move along. So I'm going to set it in front of this heater I have down here. Give it a little bit of time. In the meantime, I'm trying to decide if I want to get rid of the Christmas theme on this thing and give it some other kind of flair since it didn't sell as a Christmas gift, but I still think it's cool. I thought the fact that it was like a stocking stuffer would be a hit, but every other Christmas instrument I made sold except this one. Scoot forward a bit. Oh, that's very nice. That's interesting. I guess it is kind of therapeutic to watch streams. I mean, I don't watch a whole lot of people doing streams. There's a couple of people I do, but a lot of their energy is a little chaotic. Like I watch Tammy Hull on YouTube, and she's I think it's a delight to watch things like that. Or Sue Dillon is a funny streamer. She's an example of an intentionally funny streamer, though, rather than what's referred to as a lol cow, I guess. But there's not a whole lot of people. I guess a lot of what media consumption is these days is just something to like tamp down that feeling of being alone. And it's probably easier when you have like, even if it's just a parasocial relationship. It's like this is someone I know, I'm comfortable with. But I can't imagine how someone could possibly find that person to be Hassan Piker. Yeah, I want to watch this fucking roided up pussy fart eat a burrito and complain about the government. Give me a break. So let's see how this is coming along now that it's been sitting from the heat for a moment. See how it's kind of rising and expanding and foaming up. It'll clear up. It just needs a little time. Get a little more light from this angle. And I'm not sure what the policy is with YouTube on if I were streaming and I wanted to listen to music while I was doing it, because I'd like to monetize sooner or later. So I'm not sure if that would be an obstacle if I were to just like have tunes on in the background. So that's why I haven't been doing that. And again, I'm like really, really, really new at this streaming thing, and I didn't think that I would be doing it as much as I have been. Uh-oh, there goes the Twitch stream. My tablet died, but that's okay. That one was honestly not looking too good anyways. I need to figure out the angles with this tablet, and also the resolution on the camera is pretty rough. Someone told me streaming on Kick is pretty lucrative. Kick. Basically any way that I can make money right now without having a boss, because for one thing I can't have a boss, and for another thing I can't, as in I am incapable, and I currently have that active warrant that I have to make my way to San Antonio to deal with, and no employer will hire me while that is pending, which kind of puts me in a shitty situation because I have to get the money together to get to San Antonio in the first place, and I also can't get a driver's license while it's pending. So we'll be dealing with that over hopefully the next couple of months. Otherwise, I will be a fugitive, which apparently I was for 3 years without my knowledge, which is how I got into this situation. But we're dealing with it now. I'm out on bail, and I'm being honest. And I went to rehab. It's a drug charge from 3 years ago. But Texas is really strict about that. They don't do Zoom court dates for drug shit. But I don't think they're gonna. Yeah, they're definitely not gonna put me in jail. I don't have any reason to. It's been a long time. I've been to rehab, and I live in another state, and I will be going back and dealing with it voluntarily rather than having to be dragged back. So judges like that shit. But I can't underestimate Texas and its militant way of dealing with these things. We'll see. Yeah, but I mean, I've always been in limbo. It's just kind of a thing. This is this phenomenon with me where people tend to gravitate towards me while they're in like a really stressful or unpleasant transitional period. You know, people are kind of. I spend a lot of time by myself, and I've learned to be okay with that. But as much as I might like to have close friends that I see a lot and that I can turn to, I mostly have had to learn how to enjoy being alone. But there's this phenomenon where when people are in this chaotic transitional period in their life, they suddenly gravitate and they get really, really close with me until it's over. And then they go back. But I think it's just because people see in me a person who has been in a free fall their entire life, and they're in the upside down on the Mad Hatter. They're trying to get someone to help them understand. Unfortunately, I can't say that I do understand. We're all mad here. Things are fucked up. Whatever. It is what it is. Could be a lot worse. I could be in jail right now, and I'm not. I'm just kind of cleaning up the neck of this real quick so that the little shavings of wood don't get stuck in there and make it a pain in the ass to finish up later. Oh, why is that hard for you to interact with people at all? Is it like an anxiety thing or? Yeah, I feel that. I've learned to like kind of accept the nuance of people. Two things can be true at the same time. Nobody's the best thing about them or the worst thing they've ever done, and sober people lie and steal every day. It's uh, it's complicated out there. I know that I'm a person who's incredibly difficult for their reasons, but I know I have good traits about me too. And so, if I should ever expect anyone to want to be close with me in any capacity, I need to be very, very forgiving with people having problems. And people who are young don't seem to understand this right now, or at least not that I have seen. Right now, they're very, very quick to dismiss someone for being a person. Like, people, everyone does things that are inexcusable, unforgivable. But you have to forgive them, or you'll be alone. You've done it, I've done it, and anyone who says they haven't done something that's completely inexcusable, that doesn't mean they didn't. It just means they're good at hiding it, which is maybe worse. But yeah, I was bordering on suicidal for like the first half of the day today, which just comes and goes naturally for me. Sometimes it's like, the only reason I don't kill myself is because I know I can. But I also had my best friend die in June, and it was just kind of a grim reminder that, like, if you're suicidal, you have you have but to be patient. You will die. There's no reason to miss out on certain things, and it's not the things that you would think. Like the things that I take value out of sticking around for are so Tool's last album came out, and God, it was bad. It was so bad, and people love Tool, so they were really disappointed. And when that happened, I was like, man, I'm glad I stuck around for this. This is really satisfying. Star Wars Episode 1, anything that just disappoints a lot of people all at once, I love. And dude, people get into a fever about things like Star Wars. So dude, if you're an adult and you're worried about, oh, don't spoil it. Like, here, let me spoil it for you. Have you ever seen a movie? That's what the next Star Wars is gonna be. It's gonna be one of those. They follow the same basic pattern. It's the fucking space laser movie that comes out every 4 or 5 years to sell fucking popsicles and candies and shit. It's perfect every single time. It does exactly what it's intended to do. Or anyone who gets upset with shit like, the Little Mermaid being black or whatever, it's like, why are you invested at all? One way or the other. Like, I mean, it's definitely condescending. It's clear when they do things like that. Like, I don't believe for a fucking second that Walt Disney Productions cares at all about race, but they kind of look around, they see that you gotta clock in for giving a shit about black people, so we're gonna make this fictional character black. But it's not because they care, they don't, but they know they have to. So, but I don't think they desecrated anything fucking sacred. I mean, people were fucking brainwashed by that shit. I mean, all those movies, fucking, how much fucking bullshit is in everyone my age's brain, at least? Fucking, thank God I'm at this point in my life, I'll never experience limerence or like what was what I consider to be romantic love ever again in my life. I will never think of someone with that degree of reverence because it's not good for me. It's not good for them, and it's not true. It doesn't exist, and it drove so many of the worst decisions I made in my entire life, and so many of the worst. It's so many of the worst treatments that I've given other people. Like, it's a motivation for something that doesn't exist and isn't real, and I'm not sure what the motivation is for them to put it inside of children's heads. I mean, what, they really want us to reproduce that badly? It's getting ugly out there. Maybe that's why, they're trying to make Simba gay and shit. They're trying to discourage people from populating anymore. Who knows? I'll be impressed when they start, if they're going to show diversity, I want fucking. I want fucking Bagheera to be an anti vaxxer. I want King Louis to be the king of the Proud Boys. I want to see Woody and Buzz at an Antifa rally throwing Molotov cocktails. that would be representative to an underrepresented group of people. I want fucking I want Fantasia to have a whole scene where there's this like, big sweeping musical number as people storm the Capitol with brooms singing. I mean, we should all be upset that we had so much invested in the Little Mermaid that we could have an emotion one way or the other in the first place. Like, don't people realize like that's the sign of like an abusive relationship? You know, the fact that something that doesn't matter at all comes out. It doesn't matter at all, and you have any opinion about it one way or the other. I mean, the first Disney movies were fucking meant to get bullshit in your head. And even with that knowledge, which we all have as adults, that it was all a lie, true love, you know, that whole thing, all bullshit, no magic. Even though we all know that, once we get into adulthood, people still have this like investment in how it's portrayed, and it was all like it was manufactured to do that. That would be cool. I guess you know, and that was also at a time when things were like gender normativity was a lot more in practice, and so I think that the Little Mermaid was less one that was on the docket for me. I remember watching Lion King a lot and Toy Story and Nightmare Before Christmas and things like that. But I honestly, even as a kid, I liked really fucked up. Like I really liked Ren and Stimpy a lot as a kid, more so than I like those sorts of things. And I think that's because Disney or not, I was not raised, still not. But yeah, I fucked that crap. But I mean, Disney basically raised a lot of children. You know, those movies were just like on constant cycle. You know, if you didn't want to fucking talk to them, and it's because they know how to captivate little kids. It's like something they've figured out. Their eyes are gigantic with these huge eyelashes, and they have these songs and things. It's hypnotic. You know what I mean? And then while they're in that trance-like state, they fucking try to tell them that Prince Charming is coming or whatever, and then you get older and you start to realize like, oh shit, none of this is real. But like the sense of attachment that comes with that, when you spend that much time with anything, you develop a relationship with it. And that's why I think media literacy is extremely important, but people are acting like it's at an all-time low. People have always been susceptible to this sort of thing. But it's like television shows like I kind of struggle to see what's good about a show like okay, so I know this is not going to be a take that is well received, but this is something that I considered and I do like it. So It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's very funny. But I kind of have like a conundrum about it because when you watch television, those are human faces. They have eyes and mouths and they have names, and you develop a relationship with these people in your mind, even if you don't mean to. And a lot of people spend more time with the people they have relationships with through screens than they do with the people in their actual lives. And as you develop a relationship with these people, you kind of start to pick up some of their characteristics. And yeah, that the show is incredibly funny because of how devoid of morality the characters are for the most part. But you have to be careful how much time you spend with people like that. You know what I mean? Because you might lose sight of what is funny about the show, which is that they're not admirable people. These are not, and they're not your friends. They're not real. Also, how are we looking here? And I'm not saying that I don't like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I do like it. It is funny, but you just got to be mindful when you consume things like that. You know, and people should be like, there should be, if you care about, if you have children and you care about them at all, you should be really seriously having them consider how they consume things rather than pointing the finger at people like Kanye West. Like, if Kanye West is able to say things about Jews that affect what people think and do, then that's a fuck up on the part of us as a society. You should have never given a fuck what Kanye West thinks about anything in the first place. He makes music. That's it. And there's a double standard about it too because people don't care. You know, there he's made a lot of interesting and creative music, and I think that most people are bothered by him because he's a black guy who says crazy shit and doesn't apologize for it later. You know, white people do it all the time, and people give him a pass. I mean, people think Led Zeppelin are legends and they're fucking song thieves and child molesters. Doesn't bother anyone. But because Kanye West says some outlandish shit when he's obviously like retarded or something, people get bent out of shape like he's a fucking inciting a riot. Like we shouldn't have been really taking a lot of his opinions seriously in the first place just because he makes interesting music. Put things into context. If your plumber's an anti-Semite, just tell him to shut the fuck up and fix the pipes, and don't get into it with his ass. Although I don't know how a plumber could be an anti-Semite, at least not one who's very successful. I think Kanye West is very entertaining. He's a silly goose. Saw him recently on the Lex Friedman podcast, right, as this whole Jewish thing was starting with him, this whole arc. He's sitting there and he starts talking about his PSTDs. And then he's saying that he's one of the top 5 greatest writers who's ever lived, and within 30 seconds is sitting there with a pen and paper trying to spell the word opportunity. He's always done his job for me. He's an entertainer. Mind your own business. Let's take a look at some of these other little guitar things that I found over the last few days. I got a little ukulele I found recently. Oh, you know what would be fun to look at? This is something that I got from a hot dog vendor. And it's just like kind of a cool little children's learning guitar. I didn't have the back for it. But it literally just had one little tuner, one little string, and these markings, and you can play it. Yeah, get this guy going again, because it's kind of a fun little toy. I took the tuning peg off at one point, is why it's not on there now. Because I needed it for another project. And that thing has since been sold. But I have plenty now to replace it with. I'm just going to find one. I guess I could use one of these ones. Little tuning peg. Rodents are clawing your house up. Get a kitty. Thought you had my kitty. Well, my kitty's probably fat now. Doesn't feel like doing shit. Get out of the widen this hole because it's not the same one from before. Yeah, Archer was the king of that kind of thing, man. I remember when he would show up in our neighborhood, the other stray cats would just fucking vanish. That cat was the coolest cat ever, man. When I got that cat, I went to a place called Paws in Seattle where you go in and you're just in a room with all these people looking at cats and you're just kind of getting acquainted with them. And that motherfucker was digging through a lady's purse. And I was like, this is the guy. And I took him home, and the first thing he did when he got to my place was he climbed up to the highest point in the room and puked off of it. I'm like, this is my guy, dude. Such a cool cat. I wish only that my lifestyle, or rather the circumstances of my life, or whatever you want to call it, had room in it for a feline companion, because I loved that cat, but I can't even take care of myself. Who am I kidding? Fortunately, that cat has the kind of personality that he is pretty much welcome wherever he wants to go. People love that cat. Yeah, he's chill about everything. I just always had this thing about cats that, like, I just feel like it's, sometimes they gotta go to work, Can't stand between cat and his work. But yeah, he would run around the neighborhood and, like, fucking all the other feral cats would just disappear, and the crows would just sit on the power line and look at him like, you motherfucker. They, like, he'd fuck with him. He was awesome. Let's do something tricky here. Well, here, let's revisit this real quick. It's coming along very nicely. Some of these are getting stuck in there real good though. So I'll leave it a little bit longer. Yep, that's Archer. I know when I had him with me, there were times where I was certain that the only reason I was continuing to be welcome where I was because I had my cat. He was our PR guy. Chickens. Tell me more about the chickens. Oh, so what I'm working on right this very second is actually one that I got from. This was a hot dog vendor had this. I gave him $5 for it. It's like a children's learning guitar, and it only has one string. The surgery was before. Now I'm kind of just sewing her back up because I took the tuning peg for a different project out. But it's kind of cool, right? It's just a one string, no frets, but it has these little markings so that you can learn how to play just like really simple songs on it. When you're a kid, you got one string. It didn't have the back, but I love it. But the main one I'm working on right now, Porter, is this. But I need to let some of the glue dry for a bit, so I'm just kind of keeping myself occupied with this other thing. I did not know that you had chickens. It's been a while since we spoke, though, and actually the only times we've spoken in recent memory have been through the through my live streams. I got friends that raise chickens here in Tucson. They say they always have the eggs, which are apparently, I have yet to have just fresh eggs from the chicken, but apparently it's very different. I have reason to suspect that this very shed that I'm in right now was at one point a chicken coop, but I'm not sure because just the way that it's laid out. You know, there's just like these shelves, and then over here on the near the ground, there was an opening that was about knee high that I've covered up to stay warm. And then the door could lock from the outside, and it was just wide open. So I don't know why else you would have a little space for something to come and go like that, and all these shelves and shit, and lock it from the outside. And also, there's like certain kinds of fence in the air. I believe that what this shed was once was a chicken coop, but I'm not certain. Some bitches never coming back in no more. Pistols, jeans. I don't know why I chewed the shit out of this fucking zip tie. I needed it. I'll figure something else out. It seems like it would be the opposite. It seems like homesteading would make you more someone who's likely to raise livestock for, you know, what they produce. I did not know you were homesteading either. That's really cool. That's actually fucking badass. It's probably ultimately where I will end up at some point. Yeah, maybe. That's kind of idealistic, isn't it? It takes a lot to get to that place. But autonomy is very, very, very important for me. Ask one guitar. Could you elaborate on that? Because I'm not sure what you mean by that. Ask one guitar. Oh, I have other zip ties over here. Little bird fly away. Little bird fly away. Pistols, jeans. I had other strings over here. What the fuck? Let's see. I got some business. Where the fuck did all my shit go? Sorry, I'm a bit frazzled. I'm having trouble finding things right now. Will that work? Is it the exact same one? No, it's different. Okay, now I can show you guys this thing. I got a hot dog vendor. So what's the alternative? And is self-sustainability possible at all? Would be my next question. Yeah, autonomy is very important for me. Um, I guess there's different schools of thought on whether or not you would consider the use of livestock an exploitative practice. For me, I think it depends on how it's being done. If you had asked me when I was much younger, I would have said that any animal consumption at all or use of animals was um, inhumane. But I think if I were being in line with my moral code, which I don't even know if I have the resources to do, but some would say I could. Basically, what I'm saying is that if I don't think that there's anything wrong with meat consumption in and of itself, but we definitely live in a society that makes it a questionable practice. That's my stance. But that being said, doesn't slow me down at all. But I feel like in homesteading, you'd be able to humanely have access to those things. Also, don't chickens have like fertile and unfertile eggs? So it's like they lay the eggs that we eat, regardless of if they're being bred or if anybody's eating them. They just lay those eggs and they're just sitting there. Anyways. I'm asking. I don't know. I mean, you're the person who raises the chickens. I understand that. And there was a time in my life where I would have felt the same way, but that's kind of why I always felt if you're gonna have a cat, that cat's your homie. It's not like you own it, you know. That's why I've always had it be an indoor outdoor cat because it's like I don't know. We just live together. That's how I always thought of it. It's not like I'm in charge here or anything. Archer hangs out here because he wants to, you know. That was my thinking of it, but I've also heard arguments that like house cats are an invasive species that are bad for the other species in the area. You know, I also live in the desert where coyotes might eat them. But I mean, even that to me is like, if a coyote eats your cat, that's what happens when you have a cat. Like, Archer would be much too. He would be too clever to be eaten by coyotes. So that's this little kid guitar that I got off of a hot dog vendor for $5. I saw he had it. I thought it was neat. One string, one tuner. I don't have the back for it, but I got it working again, just for funsies. While I waited for this to dry some more. So let's take a look at how it's doing. It needs a little bit more time, that's for sure, before I start fucking with it. This kind of glue takes overnight usually to dry, but I've got it in front of a heater, and I think I can do some other work with it once it's dry just a little bit more. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. He's retired. And I appreciate that you still have him, and it feels good to know he's doing well. It was a good friend of mine, Archer. It's kind of a neat thing, right? Maybe I'll just like paint it and decorate it differently, give it a custom back of some kind, and call it good at some point. I mean, already I have a better tuner on it than I did before. This one has like an actual machine head on it. That one was just like a little tuning peg. I might even be able to add like a string or two to it. Is there space up there? Maybe. I should look up more on veganism. Well, I was vegan for a long time. I was vegan for maybe 13 years or something at one point. And when I was younger, I was a much more like militant, opinionated, um, socially and politically passionate person. My life has been very turbulent, and it's been difficult for me to drum up the energy to be that way as of late because I've been on and off the street, on and off drugs. I've been dealing with a lot. And I don't know that I would have time to be passionate about anything politically or socially. Also, and this has actually been nice, I'm a felon now, so I can't vote. So y'all, the Donald Trump thing, I have nothing to do with it. You missed, oh, that I was vegan for that? Well, I mean, like I said, probably in the society that we live in, if I were up to code with the things that I think are right and wrong, with like perfect moral compass, every single thing that I do, which almost nobody can be. But if I were able to, I would probably not be consuming meat strictly because of the way that it's manufactured in this society. I think it's both inhumane and disgusting, and it's bad for the environment. And yeah, there's a million things wrong with how we're doing it, but I mean, again, I don't think that in and of itself meat consumption is necessarily a bad thing. But I understand it. I understand why you feel that way, especially when you're, you know, exposed to animals that intimately as you are. Yeah, I know it's kind of disgusting. Yeah, no, I mean, I when I was this is embarrassing. When I was in junior high, I went and handed out flyers outside of a KFC with like dead chickens and shit on it. People torturing fucking factory farm animals. Um, PETA, which is also a fucking fucked off group of people in their own right, but got me going on veganism until I was well into my 20s. Sure, yeah, but I mean, I almost felt like someone who was homesteading would feel differently about that because, you're giving them like a healthy and comfortable life and like I said, they produce the eggs that are non-fertilized anyways, and so that it's not there's not even the potential for a chicken inside of the eggs that they produce, and like regardless of whether or not you're breeding them, they're laying them, and I would have thought that that would be something to consider, but I don't know. I mean, it's definitely the most forward-facing thing for like an animal liberation movement, which is a plus. It gets people talking about it, and it gets young people talking about it. It got me talking about it as a young person. Yeah, I mean, I wonder if I mean, how do you feel about insulin? Because isn't that something that's a byproduct of animal testing? And if somebody requires insulin their uh, for their diabetes, in the most like strict sense of being vegan, isn't it not vegan to consume? Or a lot of beauty products are tested on animals. I don't know. I'm actually interested. Like, do you go so far as to check and make sure that they are not tested on animals before using them, or do you smoke cigarettes? That's something that has been tested on animals virtually the entire time that we've been smoking them. Fossil fuels, dinosaurs. I'm not being flippant. I'm genuinely asking. And a lot of people, it's like some people live in a food desert where the only thing that they can eat is fucking Burger King. You know. poverty and fucking lack of transportation. I'm sure there's not a whole lot of incarcerated vegans. Also, having been in jail for one day finally in my life, I can't imagine that's that's any way to live is to be vegan in that place. It was barely any way to live not vegan. Here's a interesting thing that I think you think was cool. Who the fuck was it? It was like a feminist author that said it was like a very like a post-feminist, like really militant. I think she might have had something to do with the Manson family when it came down to it, but I liked the quote that it was deep down every man knows he's a worthless piece of shit. It's hard to argue with that. I love that. That's funny. It's a funny thing to say. It's hard to argue with. I can only speak for myself, really, but it certainly would seem that way. Oh, what about the trans exclusionary radical feminist Siberian Orchestra? All right, let's revisit this one. It's getting there. I think it might be about time to cut those other saw lines. So I'm pretty much just going to be eyeballing these ones. Because I don't have measuring tape anymore. Oh wait, I have rulers. Where do I have rulers? I don't know where they are. And I don't feel like finding them, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball this shit. spot for that one. Well, we'll give it a shot. We'll see. It's too late now. I already cut it. So if I have to fix it, so be it. Let's see what happens. Hi. this one just a bit. Yeah, let me know about that. Hopefully this situation with San Antonio is resolved painlessly as possible. But having spent a little time in Texas, I know that the legal system there can be a bit of a silly house, as it were. They like to torture people, but as a result, their jails are usually pretty full. So we'll have to wait and see. Okay, thank you very much. That's nice. And if you reach out to be in whatever platform you like with some contact information, I would love to send you a guitar. And if you have a pen and paper, there's no one in here. I could tell you my phone number in here, I guess maybe. No, I mean just message me. I'm not gonna because I repost these. Yeah. Just send me a message on Instagram or Facebook or something. Yeah, I mean I'm not sure that you can send um private messages on YouTube. Um, Trying to think of an alternative that would work without having to sign up for any kind of whatever. I can or you can just make a private video and post it, or an unlisted video, and then only the people who have the link to the video can view it, and then you just send me the link and tell me your phone number or whatever. Um, that's one way you could do it. Um, so my current email is and yeah, I don't mind telling people this is edennault and then 10 at gmail.com. Just email me there. edennault10. Okay, so let's get back to painting this thing. But yeah, it would be cool to talk to you on the phone instead of in just like the context of a live chat. I know that sometimes, especially these early morning ones, it'll just end up being you and I, but yeah, edennaultnono at Gmail. Perfect. Just yeah, email me and let me know how I can get in touch with you outside of YouTube. Not that this isn't pleasant, and I'm very appreciative of your support. Really, really, I am. It's been very, very helpful. It's been honestly getting me by in a big way. But I'd also like to, talk to you outside of the context of this thing that I'm doing. Did you just like stumble across me in the feed or something? Oh, like the first time you saw me doing the live things and start talking to me? When Archer finally made it there, I just like popped up on your YouTube feed. Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know what compelled me to start doing that. I think I was just going through a lot at the time. That was right after Nicolette died and all that.
Yeah, I have an old YouTube channel that I'm unable to get back into, so I'm trying to figure out what the easiest process would be for me to uh, get all my old videos um, off of that old account, or at least re-upload them with my new account so I can get the views. There's a couple of them that are kind of embarrassing. They're old videos of me doing stand up, really old, and I don't love them. But I also have this whole private playlist that's still in my ex's YouTube account that has like a lot of my stand up that I want to post, but I have to go through the whole process of downloading it and putting it in the right format and re-uploading it. And I only have an Android phone to work with to do that, so I just haven't done it yet. Hopefully, I can sometime. I mean, it's crazy the feelings of grief seem to get more severe as time goes on rather than easier to deal with because it feels more real and you have more experience of what it's like to not have her around. I had someone drive me by the place that we lived that they've been trying to like gut out and fix up and turn into a new house to sell, and her family had painted the exterior gray, and it like it, I wouldn't care because it's like whatever, but like I can hear her hearing that, and it would really, really, really piss her off that they did that. Her house was purple and green and covered in Christmas lights, exclusively incandescent lights. She did not like LEDs. She only used incandescent lights that she would get off of the internet on everything. And her house was covered in incandescent Christmas lights all over the place from the outside in. And now it's just gray. And she would bitch about that a lot. She would definitely be upset if she knew that. Yeah, funny how that works. Yeah, I cried on New Year's about it. It's a shame. Poor girl. So, pink nail polish, nail hardener. I have these frets setting in glue. I'm gonna have to put that one back in. It's no good. This is my alternative saw. It's just a sawzall blade that I screwed to a piece of wood. No, it was definitely her parents. I don't want to go too into detail about it, but I know people process grief differently. But I met her father for the first time right after the fire, right after she was taken to the hospital. And what I witnessed was glee, not grief. That's just my opinion. He seemed ecstatic. To me. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you more about it when we speak in private, but I think she might have been the only person in her family that was really worth a shit.
What are you gonna do?
Lost her mind. Well, it must have been nice to have had it in the first place. Go away.
Woke up.
I'm not sure I understand, but
I'm not going to press you to tell me more than. But that can be cathartic. I don't think there's anything about a primal scream that indicates that someone's lost their mind. If anything, it makes them more sane.
primal scream. I had to get a key made for the house because I lost the old one, so I made it the one that I saw that was the least easy to lose. Since we're talking about Disney princesses.
This might be the longest stream I've done so far. It's almost 3 hours I've been on here. Oh, almost knocked that fucking tripod over. That for me is, in my mind, I think of sleep deprivation, and psychosis when I think of that. That's what that makes me think of, is the kind of psychosis that comes with sleep deprivation. Oh, I mean, I wasn't complaining. It was just noting that it's been a long stream. I might keep going for a little while even. There are a few subscribers who donate. And I gotta be doing my best to, if not getting donations, I gotta be trying to get the YouTube monetized. I need to fucking make money. But I do look forward to talking to you, maybe over the phone or outside of YouTube, for sure. And this is actually a banjo string that's on this one. They got off of some nomad outside of a coffee shop. Welcome back. So I got another one of these kinds of things. This is the one that I'm never gonna fix in any way. It's never going to be cosmetically better. It's never going to work better. It's going to stay exactly this as a finished product because I made it in the street after my house burned down before I went to rehab from just what I found that day, and it functioned enough to make me money to eat at the Taco Bell, and I was ecstatic when it worked as well as it did, and mostly because I was just playing this over and over again. I was like, I can't believe how well this works. I made enough to eat, so I'll always keep this exactly the way it was that day. One string from a banjo, some property dividers I pulled out of the ground, this fake Warren piece, it's actually just a container. It has a tie for a strap, random hardware, doorstop. For what it is, I'm pretty pleased with it. And it did what it needed to do at the time, which was both feed me and keep me from fucking throwing myself into traffic. And it's the other one that's completed right now that did not sell for Christmas, even though it's a cute stocking stuffer. Let's see how those frets are coming out. I'm getting there. Still needs a little bit of time. We are getting there. Clean it off a little bit more. Oh, I was thinking about that like a month ago. I fucking forgot I had that. That's crazy. That's fucking cool. Yeah, we'll have to catch up on what happened with all that as well, because I mean, I have no idea. But we don't need to discuss that here unless that's where you'd like to discuss it. Seems like a personal thing. But I mean, I don't care. You were without question my most generous supporter, and as such, I'm happy to talk about it in an open context if you like, but I know that you didn't even want me to mention your name, which is fine.
I'm sorry, I have so much trouble remember. I've lost everything I own so many times in my life, but I do remember having the Nirvana ticket stub that I got out of a used Nirvana CD that I got at a thrift store or something like that. I can't remember where I got it from, but it was, yeah, I had the Nirvana ticket stub. I remember that. It's not Easter. You're right. The ears are on my dome because rabbits and drug addicts have a lot in common. All we want to do is fuck and go like this. You got it. I'm on a sick one. I wish, my friend, I wish. Would that I could. And this will be one of the next ones that I use for a guitar body. This little case. I don't know if I'm going to get into that right this second. They made me self-conscious. Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, it's kind of like this cheap wood. It's like, I almost feel like it's just like, it may not even be wood. I feel like this is just cardboard that's like pleather bound. But I'm gonna fuck with it. I can make it any book I want, you know? From Twilight to Mein Kampf. Twine Kampf. Yeah, those are sick. There's this guy on YouTube whose name is We Say, what is it? We Say something. We Say Freeman.
and he's a blind man from, I'm not sure where, but not from here, not from the United States, and he's made one just out of just like driftwood, and he's just wrapped it with coat hangers, wire coat hangers, and made frets, and it sounds really good. He's very talented. Those are really cool. I saw someone that made a saxophone out of PVC pipes. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, I saw that. That's cool. Back in the day when I was doing all the drugs, I thought it would be cool to make a little ocarina out of a meth pipe. I still think that would be cool, honestly, whether I do it or not. Here's another thing I'm going to make into a guitar soon, once I have pickups and such, because I want this to be electric. So yeah, this would be electric. I think that'll be a cool one. Colorant. Colorant. So yeah, I think this will be a cool electric guitar once I get around to it. Yep. People make them out of shovels and stuff. I've seen that. But I've yet to see this one. How are we doing frets? Let's see how these frets are coming along. Are they getting done? That's still the top one for sure. Just letting the glue settle on all these frets before I start trying to string her back up and make sure it was spaced correctly. I'm positive I did something wrong. The spacing on this is weird. But no big deal. You figure it out. I figured out ways to make mistakes and fix them with these. I'm getting better at it all the time. Yeah, and there's this kid that commented, like a little kid that commented on one of my videos recently, and I went and looked at his channel, and he had made a little a fiddle out of a cigar box. Like, he played with a bow. It just had 2 strings though, and that was fucking cool. It must have been like 6 or 7 years old, but this fucking, I think that's sick. save all my trash, like everything cleaned, sorted. It was nuts. Yeah, I've gotten better about it. If I have something, there's usually a specific intended purpose for it now. You know, having been running around so much. There was a while when I had my trailer, my own place, and like my own yard and all that, that it got completely out of hand. I didn't keep like actual garbage, but I would go and get other people's garbage and bring it home. But you know, tweaker shit. What are you gonna do? Well, I don't know. I was very productive as a dirty person too. It's people will say a lot of mean things about me when I die, but no one will call me lazy. I'm sure of that. I may have been working on things that I should not have been focused on. There's a strong argument to make for that. But there wasn't a whole lot of downtime throughout my life. Just keep that in mind, kids. If you don't want to work, it's a full-time job. I wouldn't say that. If you're homesteading, you're off the grid. You're more like a Ted Kaczynski kind of thing. And then we'll just correct the color around the frets. My phone just vibrated and I don't know why, but I'm not quite done here, so I'll check later. You can't check your notifications while you're doing live without the feed ending, which is irritating, but it's probably best to stay in the zone anyways every now and again. see. So you have 6 chickens. Well, I'm sure there's a lot more to that story, but I mean, I'm in a shed right now. That's where I live. So far be it from me to judge anyone. Sucks out there if you're not like other people and you can't do things other people do. But if you're creative, there are ways to live. You can do it. Is that to say that only nutty people want a commune? I suppose that depends on if you're at the center of it. Wife swapping and such. And as far as I knew, you were always a little nutty. Not in a rude way. I mean, I'm fucking crazy as fuck. Personally, I'm fucking completely out of my mind. Like when, you know, when you're getting, I don't know, when I was checked into the jail, when I was getting checked into the jail, they asked me, some social worker or something pulled me aside and asked me if I was experiencing any thoughts of harming myself or others. And I'm thinking, like, are there fucking people out there who don't have those kind of thoughts? Because it's so hard for me to wrap my head around that there are people out there who do not think about harming themselves or others. I mean, it's not a fixation I have. It's not something that I think about with, like, I don't ruminate on it, but yeah, sure. Every day I think about it. Every time I fucking lose my keys or I see someone not clean up after their dog, I'm sitting there thinking about harming myself or others, or both. Yeah. Like people who like, yeah, you don't hear voices, do you? It's like, you don't hear voices. I just know which ones are real and which ones aren't. Like, that's a functional. Like, if you're not a little bit fucking cracked from living in the world the way that it is, that's crazy. Yeah, it's like I was saying earlier when the feed started and we were getting into the subject matter. Honestly, I think that I know for me this is the case, and I'm sure that for a lot of other people it is too. That being able to think about the fact that you can go whenever you want is a comfort that probably keeps people from doing it. I know it has for me. Like going through certain things and being like, well, if it gets much worse, I can always just check out. And with that in mind, was able to get some sleep and go to the next day. And now I'm still here. But to think about the idea of being just trapped in life, that's a nightmare. I can only support thinking about things like that for those therapeutic reasons, though. And it's also not my business. Like, when people tell me they feel like checking out, all I can say is, I hope you don't. That sucks. But it's not my place to decide what you're going to do. I might not be far behind anyone. Yeah, but I mean, I don't have like close family or like really dear friends that are in the worst times. There's like a feeling of like, well, if it's gonna affect you so much if I'm dead, why aren't you here when you're alive? Yeah. Yeah, I was just telling someone about the phenomenon of the Aurora Bridge where they put up all those suicide barriers, and then the phone booths that call the suicide hotline, and then motherfuckers were climbing on top of the phone booth and jumping over the suicide barrier. Motherfuckers pole vaulting to their death. Yeah, most of the time I'm able to arrive at the fact that like it's if I want to die, I have but to be patient. I'll have my turn. Yeah, I've had friends, take their own lives, and it's sad, but I can't help but like at the end of the day, that's their decision. It's like it's really the only thing that you do have any ownership over. It's the one thing in your life you own is the life itself. And if you don't want it no more, that's up to you, man. It sucks and it hurts people, and I hope you don't. I really, really hope you don't. Whoever happens to see or hear this, which is just you and me right now, but I post the live feeds for anyone to go back on, whatever. I hope you don't. But I get it. on here like 3.5 hours. I should probably go get something to eat. Yeah, I guess. But I mean, there's arguments. It's one of those things that it's probably like there's a cognitive dissonance about it. It's probably both at the same time, you know? It's like it's both, you know? Like, yeah, you could make the argument that everything is just like a series of events set in motion, including our own decisions. But to live your life, you have to hold that belief while simultaneously being aware that you have control and that you can take control. You know, it's the only functional way to operate is to acknowledge your own accountability in your life. It's like stoicism. You really should only focus on things that you do have control over. Everything else that's outside of your control should be completely nothing that you worry about. There's no reason to worry about it because all you're doing is making yourself miserable if you're worrying about things that you have no control over. Jesus. All right, folks. Well, this is where we are with this one. And I'm going to hop off. I've been on the feed for 3.5 hours. Let some of this paint dry. And then get back into it later on. I got to eat something. But thank you for hanging out with me. And email me. And I'll talk to you very soon. It's good to hear from you.